guys, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I have an interview with a couple. They live in Dominican Republic, and I found her channel to my, well, I have one of her videos came up on my feed, and it was very interesting for me because she was doing laundry in Dominican Republic. And for anybody that do laundry in Dominican Republic, they know that it's very different to what we do here in the United States. So it was very funny too because I did one when I was in Dominican Republic in December, but I never put it out because I wanted to do it again. Yeah, I never did, so I never put it out. So I thought it was a very interesting channel, and then I think the channel is very, very original. So welcome to my channel, and now you can go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us where are you from.
My name is Katie. I'm originally from the United States, from Ohio, and I moved to the Dominican Republic about a year and a half ago. So I live here with my husband.
My name is Juan Carlos. I'm from Dominican Republic, and I grew up in a small community that's called La Represa. It's out of the capital city.
So it is La Presa in Santo Domingo?
La Represa out in Santo Domingo. It's like really far away, like 40 minutes from the capital city.
Yeah, it's very much like the countryside. You get off the highway and you go down a long dirt road in the middle of
and it's La Represa.
Yeah.
I never heard about it.
No, it's really small.
Yeah.
It's near, where is it?
Yeah, well, it's near Villa Altagracia. I don't know if you
okay.
It's
near Villa Altagracia. Okay. So you guys have a YouTube channel. That is how I found you. So tell us a little bit about your channel. What is it about? Why did you start it? And if you have any plan for it?
Yeah, we started it during quarantine because we had always thought about doing it, but never took that step, and we decided to. It's been really fun for us to have something to do together. And the focus of the channel is like being an international couple and all of that, like being an American in the Dominican Republic, but also just our relationship as well, having two cultures together.
Yeah.
So that's the main focus of all of our videos. And we just started. It's only been like a month, so we're pretty small still, and it's mostly our friends and family watching, but we do hope it grows in that. Because we're not the only international couple in the world, so I think it's cool for people to see.
Okay. And when did you first travel to the Dominican Republic, and what was the reason for it?
I first traveled in 2016. March of 2016, and I went with my university to do a service program for a week over spring break, and I didn't meet him that year. I met him the next year. I did the program again in March of 2017, but my first time was in 2016, and I really it was only a week. Like, I was doing typical tourist stuff. It wasn't, so I never imagined that I would live here one day.
Okay, you say there was a trip from your college.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of trip is? What kind of trip is that?
It was a program called Alternative Breaks, which a lot of colleges. I have friends at multiple colleges that have done it. Most schools have that, and it's they organize, instead of you going on the typical college spring break, you join a group and you go and do volunteer service work, and either in another country or even within the U.S. So there were 10 different trips at my school, and I got put on the one that went to the Dominican Republic.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. That is pretty much like, let's say, like an internship or something like that for you to get experience?
It's more like a mission trip, but it's not religious based. So
okay.
There's no.
I hear, one of your videos, I hear you when you say mission trip. That's what I was kind of, okay, that sounds very interesting. And before you went over there, did you know anything about Dominican Republic, or did you have any expectation?
I knew nothing. I probably couldn't have put it on a map, to be honest. I didn't know. I had heard of Punta Cana because I had friends that had gone on vacation there, but I didn't realize that that was in the Dominican Republic at the time. I just knew that it was an island in the Caribbean, and I was going to. So I didn't know what it was. Probably my expectation was a little more beach related, but we ended up only going to the beach like on one day because the community we were doing the volunteer work in was farther inland. But yeah, I mean, I just expected it to be a tropical island. That's about it. The typical American idea.
That's what most people know about the DR sometimes is Punta Cana because they just land there and then that's all they know. And what city did you first, when you did the first trip, what city were you again?
Well, we flew into Santo Domingo and we did spend a day in the capital doing like Zona Colonial, and then we went out to the beach. But most of our time was spent in the community where he grew up in, near Villa de Gracia, so pretty far inland in the countryside.
Okay. And then for how long have you been living in the Dominican Republic now? And what city do you live in? I mean, are you currently living?
I've been here for a year. It's May now. A year and a half. I've been here for a year and a half. Losing track of time in quarantine. Yeah. And we live in the capital. So why did we pick it?
Well, because it's easy to move around because in the community, like where I grew up, it's not like interesting enough. Like it's boring. There's nothing to do there. We decided to move.
It's a pretty hard life out there. I don't think he could have convinced me to move here if I was going to be living out in like the rural areas. So yeah, we live in Santo Domingo, and it's. I lived in New York for 4 years before I moved here, so it was like an easier transition going from one city to another city. And yeah, we like it. Yeah. There's no beach, but.
What area in Santo Domingo are you living in? What area are you?
In the west. So we're outside of like Distrito Nacional. We're not inside of it. We're more on the outskirts, but I work in the Distrito, in PND.
And do you like living in Santo Domingo, or are you planning to move? Are you interested in moving to another city?
Yeah. We are not moving, but I was considering to move like really like in Distrito because I wanted to. I'm studying college, so it's near where the college is.
Yeah, we live really far out in the city, but so we've considered moving like really in the middle, but we've never considered moving anywhere else on the island because it's, I don't know. Moving to another country was enough of a change. I don't think I want another change.
Yeah, I understand that. And usually most expats living in the tourist area because it makes them feel more comfortable. Would you consider to live in any of those areas?
I probably would have considered it at first. But now that I'm here, I don't want to change. But we ended up in Santo Domingo because that's where he was living at the time and he knew the city. And so I wanted somebody, I didn't want it to be new for both of us. Like, with the place that we were living, I needed him to know how to do things in the city before I came. So, but I do wish we had, a beach that was closer. This capital doesn't have a beach. But the touristy towns aren't really... it's not exactly the same experience. It's not, sometimes you're not getting the full experience of living in another culture because they are so Americanized and everyone speaks English and all of that. So I do feel like I'm getting a more real experience.
Oh yes, tourist area you will find, everything is gonna be a little different than what they really, what experience that you can get with the real cultural experience. And Dominican culture is very different to what U.S. culture. So was it easy for you to adapt?
I guess it was easier than for some people because I visited so many times before I actually moved. So we were long distance for 2 years, and I visited multiple times for like a month at a time. So I got to like, I kind of knew what I was getting into, and I was kind of exposed to it at first, but it was still the first few months when I moved here where I was really like sad all the time. I kept saying like, oh, I don't like it, I can't do this. Mostly because I think it was because I didn't have any friends of my own at first, and everything I did was attached to him. And like everyone I knew was because he knew them, and everything we did socially was because he knew them. So once I got a job and I made my own friends, and I started to like go around the city by myself and do things, like I felt like I actually could be an independent adult here, then I started to get used to it. But there's still cultural things that are, difficult, like that I'll never get used to. I know that they're gonna happen, and that like I know that that's part of living here, but some of them I'll never get used to.
For example, give us one example.
Like how when you walk into a room, you have to say hello to everyone. Like even if you don't know them, you just have to like walk in and be like, "Buenos dias." Like I do it now, but I still hate doing it. It's so weird and like I don't know. I never know what to say when someone says it to me. I'm like, hi. So that's one example. Yeah, things like that. But in the U.S., everyone's a little bit more cold, especially with neighbors and stuff. So that was something I had to get used to. So like my neighbors were gonna talk to me all the time, especially because I lived in New York before this, and in New York, no one talks to anybody.
Oh yeah, that is something. Yeah, that's for sure. Is something that is very different from here to there. Anything else that you have to get used to, like probably doing laundry, cold water?
Those things, like we live in a nice area, but the power still goes out sometimes, and the water still goes out sometimes. Like it is still a developing country, so those things took some more getting used to. But it was more like because I had visited so many times, those big things that are like obvious differences, I had kind of gotten used to. But what I wasn't prepared for was all the little things, like the saying hello, and like if I text somebody here, I have to be like, hola, ¿cómo estás? Before I actually say something to them, and things like that. Like the little things that you can't know until you're really in it, those are the hardest.
And in your opinion, what is the best thing about Dominican Republic, and how is that compared to the best thing of the U.S.?
The best. I mean, there's a lot of things. I'm trying to think of the best. I guess I really like the music here, and like going out. Like I was never a huge going out kind of person in the U.S. Like if you go to a bar or club in the U.S., like everyone's just gonna be like jumping up, and I love dancing, like the Latin music. I love like merengue, bachata. I'm not very good, but I like to do it. So yeah, I love the music and the dancing here, and the weather. I really like the weather. Obviously, that's what everyone says. But the best thing about the U.S., I don't know. I guess the thing I miss the most is like the food. I like Dominican food, but I like American food a lot more. And I can cook it, but it's not the same. There's a lot of things you can't get here that I miss. But when I think about what I miss from the U.S., it's food and my family, and that's like, not anything you can bring.
Okay. And have the DR changed you personally in terms of how of your outlook in life?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it definitely has. I don't think you can live in another country and not change. Anything specific? I guess I'm definitely like more like go with the flow now, because especially after living in New York, where like your schedule's full, everybody's running everywhere, like you're constantly like frazzled, and here everything's more chill and relaxed. So I think I've adapted to that pretty well, and that's become part of like who I am. I still don't arrive to things late on Dominican time, but we're working on it.
That is something that we are very good at. We're never on time for nothing.
It's like I can do like 15 minutes late. Like I like that. Like okay, I don't have to be there like on time, but like I can't arrive to something an hour late. It just doesn't feel.
It doesn't sit right. That's something that I changed. I like to be on time. That's something that I changed from. I always was like that, even living in Dominican Republic. That's something that I don't like over there. Nobody never on time. Hmm?
He really likes to be on time.
Yeah.
He's very American in that way. Everyone's like, "Are you a Dominican?" Like, what?
Yeah, you can find a few people like that. No, most of them. Most of them are always late. Like you tell them, "Oh, we're gonna have something at 9." Expect for them to start coming in at 10. Mm-hmm. And now I know that you are married. You are married to a Dominican, obviously. So tell us, how did you two meet?
How did we meet?
Well, we were working as a volunteer in my community. So we were working on building levees, and like it was like that was in 2017, like March was March. So we took like a hike, and there were two different groups. I was working with another group from Appalachian State.
So we didn't meet. We hadn't met yet.
Yeah, and we put the two groups together, so we decided to go on the hike. And she was carrying a backpack, and she was late. And I asked her, "Do you want to help?"
That was his like way to start a conversation.
Yeah.
I had this little bag with my sunscreen in it, and he was carrying this giant like bag for like with all the water for the whole group. And he was like, "Do you need help with your bag?" And I was like, "No." So that was his pickup line. But then we got to talking with our very broken English and Spanish. I don't even know how we talked, but yeah. And then we only talked a couple times while I was visiting, and then we actually got to know each other like over WhatsApp afterwards, because we didn't talk that much.
I messaged you through Instagram.
The same day, I landed on my Instagram and messaged me asking for my number. So that's how.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I can pull it up.
Okay.
The proof. So you knew a little Spanish when you met him, and you knew a little English. I mean, you at least were able to.
A little, yeah. I had taken Spanish in high school, but like anyone who knows the American education system knows that Spanish classes in high school are a joke, and you learn your colors and your numbers and like basic sentences. So like I don't know, I probably asked him like, "¿Cuál es tu color favorito?" or something like that. Like I barely knew anything. And how many? He had taken one English class.
Yeah, like the ones cursing.
Yeah, he took one English class for it, so we didn't know very much at the time.
Yeah, and our education system is the same way. They teach us English, but it's very, very basic. It's like, it's not even conversational or anything like that. So how can you learn? Are you able to speak Spanish now? Do you have conversations?
Yeah, I consider myself fully bilingual at this point. I mostly learned it we were long distance for 2 years, so texting and we did FaceTimes every night, and that made me learn it pretty quick. And we used to only talk in Spanish, and then once I moved here, we started only talking in English so that he could learn English.
Yeah.
Okay, so you learned the same way. You learned English the same way, just talking to her.
Yeah.
You took classes.
Yeah, I took classes in Winnipeg. I don't know if you heard about Winnipeg.
Yeah, I took classes there too before I came over here.
Yeah.
He took. I never, but I didn't take any Spanish.
I took class like for 9 months, I think.
He stopped because he had me. By the time he got to conversation level, he was like, "We already do that." So that's how we learned talking to each other.
And was it difficult at the beginning? I know that probably you have to use Google Translator. Was it difficult? Was it frustrated, or how was the experience?
Well, at first we were only texting, like there was no FaceTime or anything, and so like texting was easier because I could use Google Translate, and I tried to like not only use it like because I wanted to learn it, but I would still have to use it for a lot of things. And I was so nervous when we had our first FaceTime, like not because I was nervous to talk to him, but because I didn't think that I could talk in Spanish, because typing is not the same as talking. And so it was really, really hard. I definitely like couldn't talk to him as well as I could over message. But I don't know how like I just got better at it. It was, but I was very nervous for like the first week of those FaceTimes. I was like, oh, like, yo no sé, like.
Explain. You have to explain.
I made him explain everything because I wanted to learn. Like I really wanted to learn, and I made him explain every single word.
And how do you both family took your relationship?
Well, my family are not like we are just like everyone is in one place, in different place. So like
Not super close.
we are not super close. Like,
But how did they react?
oh no. Well, my mom said, "Oh, I hear you have a girlfriend." I said, yes, I have. And she wasn't like really like.
Did you tell her I was American?
Yeah, but she wasn't really like. She was like, okay.
Oh, she didn't react any kind of way just because she was from a different culture. She didn't
No.
take it bad.
No, she was okay.
My parents had very surprising reactions. My dad freaked out, but not in front of me. Like in front of me, he was like, okay. No, he was my first boyfriend. So like, and I was in college, and my dad was like kind of expecting that I would find a boyfriend in college. Like he wasn't surprised that I had a boyfriend. And then I was like, and he lives in the Dominican Republic. And he's like, oh, okay. And then I heard from my mom that he like freaked out that night, like when they were alone. And my mom had the strangest reaction. I remember her. I told her that like he was from the Dominican Republic, and she goes, oh, all right, I'm not surprised. And I was like, you're not? Like, what do you like? Yeah, you must be surprised. Like, this isn't like it's something to be expected. And she goes, well, I mean, I didn't like think you would marry someone or like date someone from another country, but I am not surprised because people from other countries are like, you know, they have more heart, and you're looking for someone with heart. And I was like, okay, Mom. What? And she was trying to like, you know, find a way to make me feel like she was accepting of it. My sisters just thought it was weird at first. They were like, yeah, okay, whatever, Katie. But now they get along great. Him and my dad are best friends.
Really? That's good.
They haven't gotten to spend a lot of time together because he doesn't have a visa for the U.S. So my family comes here over the summer, every summer. Well, not this one, but the little bit of time that they have spent together, they are like, they get along so well, which I'm so lucky to have that. But they're like the same person almost.
Oh, that's great. Great to hear. And do you have any? I mean, did you have any expectation? Or did you know anything about Dominican men before you met him? Like, you knew anything? You heard anything about Dominican men?
No, because like I guess because I had been here the year before I met him, but like all of the other guys that were like in the volunteer program were younger. They were like 15, 16, and like they were more like my friends. You know what I mean? Like they didn't have any like idea about like, oh, like they're romantic or whatever. Once I got to know him more, I started hearing about that stereotype that like Dominican men are like romantic and all of that. I think it's just Latino men in general. But no, I didn't know because I didn't know any Dominican men before that. So.
And when you first went to Dominican Republic, were you looking to meet anyone there, or that's something that just happened?
Absolutely not. No, and people don't believe me when I say that. A lot of people think like, because I went back for a second year, they're like, oh, like she was looking. But I was happily single. You know, I was in college. Like a lot of girls want to be single in college because, you know, it's like part of the experience. I was fine. Like I was not looking for anyone. I had never had a boyfriend before, and like it had just never come up. So I didn't really like consider myself that kind of person that was like, you know, like putting myself out there like that. So no, that was not. He made he was the one who initiated everything. I was just, you know, hanging out. I had no plans for that at all. And I thought everyone that I was gonna be volunteering with was gonna be the same people from the year before. He was the only new one. So like I thought I knew everybody. I didn't come with any ideas of dating.
Okay. And how you, Juan Carlos, think about Katie when you first met her? Did you thought that she was somebody that you would like to marry one day?
No, no. We made like when I started like seeing her through WhatsApp, so I was like we made her a good friend like for 2 weeks, and like I wasn't thinking about marriage like at all. Like she was my first girlfriend. I had a like friend, but she was my first girlfriend. So yeah.
Oh,
So,
You first talked to me. You weren't like.
no, I wasn't planning that. Like, I guess I used to do that like every volunteer, like when talking and well, with Katie was different, so like,
But not at the beginning.
yeah.
Just friends.
so she was your first girlfriend. Like a real girlfriend. That is very, very interesting. So, I don't know. Probably, I don't know if I should ask this question. How old are you?
I'm 26.
And I'm 23. We met when we were 20. I was 20 and he was 23.
Yeah.
Okay, you both are pretty young.
Yeah. That was the big deal, like with my family, like was that I was getting married young. Not that I was getting married to someone from another country. That was because in the U.S. people would normally get married older. Here it wasn't. Here it was like, why aren't you married yet? Like, what are you doing?
Yes, yeah, they tend to to get married pretty young over there in Dominican Republic. And is there any challenges in the relationship based on cultural difference?
There probably was at first. Well, there was at first. If I'm thinking about it, it's gonna sound silly, but we used to fight about food a lot.
Yeah. Her cooking, like, because I like rice. I like to eat every day. And she cook bad rice.
I can't. It doesn't turn out. I follow all of the things that everyone tells me to do, and it doesn't turn out. I still can't cook it very well.
Yeah.
We just because we like I'll eat Dominican things, and I don't want to eat rice every day, and that's what he wants to do. So we used to fight about that a lot. Now it's more we just like we each cook our own thing, and we'll eat the same thing for dinner. But food was a big deal, which sounds like a silly thing to fight over, but because anyway, but the bigger differences I think are probably more like socioeconomic, because he grew up poor and I grew up rich. Like my parents aren't millionaires, but they have we lived very well. So that's the bigger difference, more so than culture, because that is kind of affects more of like okay, when you go to like money, that's more been like the bigger difference more than culture.
Okay. Yeah. I can see that about the food, because it is different. That is a big difference about what people eat there and you eat here. People over there eat rice and beans every day.
I'm so tired of rice.
So tired.
I like it, but I can't eat it every day.
You just can't do it every day. So I hear that you mentioned that you have a job over there, that you work over there in Dominican Republic. Where do you work?
I'm a teacher, so I know a lot of people like move abroad and are like, oh, I can teach English, but I've always been a teacher. That was what I studied even before I met him. I always wanted to be one. And in the U.S., I taught Spanish, and here I teach English. So I teach at a bilingual school, teach English in middle school. That's what I.
Okay, and And what school do you teach I'm just asking those questions because maybe some people they are thinking to move to the Dominican Republic. If they can give them an idea of what they can do when they go over there.
Yeah, I teach at a bilingual school called St. Joseph. There's a lot of bilingual schools, especially in Santo Domingo. There are a few in other expat towns, and there's a few other bilingual schools where a lot of Americans live, but there's the ones in the capital are more like Dominicans who want to send their children and get the English education. But even if you don't teach at a bilingual school, there's so many English language programs. When I first moved here, I thought I was going to teach basically at classes of what he took, just English classes, not necessarily little kids, but adults English. That's an option. But a lot of if people aren't interested in being a teacher, there's a lot of different careers that you can have here with being a native English speaker. It's what a lot of places are looking for here, and they do prioritize your American degree is very useful here, which is unfortunate. I don't think it should be that way. I don't think that it makes us any better. But if people are worried about moving here and finding a job, it shouldn't be that hard with an English level that an American has. Although it is hard to find the jobs. Whereas in the U.S. jobs are posted online all the time. Here it's more you kind of have to find a place and be do you have an opening? So I made a folder and I would walk it around every place that I wanted to, and I had to do it in person because that was the weirdest thing. There were a lot of opportunities. It was hard to find them.
Okay, and then when you applied for that job, it took you a long time to get in, or how easy was that process?
I got interviews at multiple places I probably dropped off my resume at 15 places. I got interviews 5. But no, it was pretty quick turnaround that they interviewed me. So no, it didn't. I was a teacher, so and I moved here in January, so I knew I wouldn't get an official job until the next school year of August. So that was something specific to teaching because I moved at the wrong time. But they interviewed me right away, but I couldn't start until the school year started.
Okay, and what other places did you went to apply for job over there that people can at least have an idea where to look when they go over there?
Oh, the only places I applied were schools. I applied at every single bilingual school that was here, and then also some of the English language programs at universities and things like that. Because teaching was the only thing I had experience in, and resume was all teaching. I didn't think I could do anything else, and also I didn't want to. I knew I wanted to teach. That was the only thing I did.
Okay, and do you think it's difficult for someone that is not a teacher here to teach over there, even if it is English?
Most of the time you need you need at least a bachelor's degree, but it doesn't need to be in education. It can be anything, and then they'll ask you to get a teaching English certification, which I got in addition just in case. But with just that, it's usually a quick online course that they just want you to have some sort of certification. But I have many friends from college and high school that wanted to teach abroad for a year, and they got that certification online in a month, and then they went and taught. So with that, most people can do it.
Okay. And the last question about that point, but how is it the pay compared to, I know the difference with me. How is the pay compared to here in US?
My answer is going to surprise you because everyone knows teachers get paid terribly in the US, right? Their teacher salaries are awful in the US. Here, they actually get paid pretty decent. If you were a public school teacher, you would be earning above the average here. Right? Still not a ton, but above what's normal for the Dominican Republic. And in a private school, I get paid even more. And I always joke that I can't move to the US because we live such a great lifestyle on my salary here that if I moved to the US, it would go down and we wouldn't have any money. So if you compare it to dollars, it's not a lot, but if you compare it to the cost of living, teachers here, teaching's a pretty decent salary here. We don't have any kids, so it's obviously we have less cost, but it's not, teachers get paid a decent wage here compared to the U.S.
Okay, that's very good to know that teacher. I mean, in comparing, like you say, I mean, probably comparing to the dollar probably is not the same, but comparing to the lifestyle, it probably can mean something to you. And do you guys have any plan to have your own business there? Do you see any opportunity in the Dominican Republic to have your own business?
I used to have one, well, like many, like investing in real estate or open a bar because I used to work in bars and stores.
He's a business.
Yeah.
He's studying business. He's
Yeah.
like loves business.
Yeah,
I hate business.
because I like numbers and that's it. Yeah. So I guess here, I consider the best way to invest is like to open a business like in real estate. Because every year
Property.
is growing like 8% like every year. Yeah.
He keeps telling me we should buy more property and rent it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a great concept of business. I mean, anywhere, but in the Dominican Republic is very good, I think, too. And did you see any other business opportunity there that you can probably, that people can know about it? I mean, anything that you see over there can be a business opportunity.
Well, like you can have like open like corner store and yeah, like colmadone, I don't know, like
Yeah.
have that in the US, but here that's a good business. Yeah.
But as far as like foreigners opening up businesses, do
Well,
you
for
see
foreigner,
that?
no, like bars. I would say bars, and yeah,
Most foreigners here have like bars and
they
restaurants.
open bars and restaurants.
Run, yeah, then real estate, yeah. Do you, Katie, recommend anybody to move to the Dominican Republic? What are some of the reasons do you think they should?
Wow, that's a big question. I would say, I mean, yeah, but you have to be willing to be open to another culture and like immerse yourself in the culture, because if you're just kind of gonna try and like live your American life in another country, I don't see the point, and like you're not gonna get the full experience out of that. If you are gonna move to another country, whether it's the DR or anywhere else, I would recommend like make sure you know somebody there. Like I could never have moved here if I didn't have him. Like it doesn't have to be a husband, but like everything in another country is different. Like going to the doctor is different. Like figuring out how to like take public transportation. It's all everything. You need a local to like help you. So it's not. I could never move somewhere where I knew nobody. So people that do that, that's amazing. But I couldn't have done that. But as far as the DR specifically, I mean, yeah, I think it's a great place for Americans, especially because it's still close to the U.S. You can go back and forth and visit, and you get the warm weather, but you also get to see a culture that it's a really lively culture, and it has a lot to offer. But I would also recommend that you speak some Spanish before you come here, because I knew a couple of people who don't speak any Spanish and moved here, and I was like, I don't know. I wouldn't have moved here if I couldn't speak the language. Like, there's a lot of people that learn English, but not in the places that you need them. Like if you're at the grocery store and you're trying to check out, like that person's not going to speak English. If you're trying to ride a public bus, like the bus driver's not going to speak English. So, like it's really hard to live without speaking. You don't have to be fully fluent. Speaking something like Spanish. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, it is hard to move in a different place if you don't know anybody, especially if you don't speak the language. That is a very difficult thing to do. And would you give any advice to them to prepare them to move to the DR?
Like the DR is it's like a small island, but it depends on where you're moving. Like if you're moving to the capital, like it's gonna be so different than if you move to like a place with a lot of American expats. You have to know what you're looking for. If you need the American expat community to be around you, that's something that you take into consideration when you're deciding which part of the island to live in. If you're looking for like more like being around Dominicans, then those typical tourist areas you're gonna want to avoid. That would be like the biggest thing, is to know what kind of place you want, and also maybe to like come and visit a couple places before you decide where you're gonna go.
And do you see yourself moving back to the U.S. or are you planning to stay in Dominican Republic for a long term?
We don't know yet. Now the plan is stay here.
Yeah, that is the big question that everyone always asks.
Yeah.
Like, I'll never say never, like, because you never know what's gonna happen. But our plan is, what you said, to stay. I don't even know where I would go in the U.S. Everyone always asks, like, do you miss the U.S.? Like, do you want to move back? But my family is all over the place. And then the place where I grew up, nobody lives anymore. So, like, my parents moved to the middle of nowhere, and I'm not going to go live there. And my little sister's in one place, my little sister's in another, and, like, all my friends are there. So there's no place that I could go back to. So I don't know. Like, the one thing I miss is my family, and I can't go to them. Like, they're not in one spot. So, no, we're going to stay here.
I like it.
Have you ever visited anywhere outside Dominican Republic? And will you consider to move to the U.S. one day?
I don't know, but I could, but it's not in my head.
So it's not that something that you are interested in to move it to the U.S.
It's weird because it's weird because I'm Dominican. The people. I don't like the U.S. Like at all.
Like, being an immigrant is really hard.
I've never been there, but I can tell.
I always say I could never ask him to move there because being an immigrant in the U.S. is really hard. Really hard.
And yes, I went to Israel last year. Yeah, we took a trip, like our honeymoon.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah. Israel, like Jerusalem, Tel Aviv.
Yeah, we went all around Israel. For our honeymoon. That was the first time he had ever been out of the country. I had gone to a few other countries, but I had never been that far away. So we saved up.
Also, we went to Egypt.
Yeah, we went to Egypt too while we were over there. So we took 2 weeks, and that was like we saved up big for that trip. And we did it after our wedding. And our goal is to travel once a year, because we still don't have kids. Because once you have kids,
things change.
We were trying to go to Cuba this year. We were supposed to go in April, but that got canceled. So we still want to go there. So that's our next because they don't give them a visa.
Yeah, I wanted to visit, but every time they try, they reject me. They don't want me. Big time.
Also, you tried to visit before you got married. You tried to apply for a visa to visit.
Yeah, and they rejected him every time. We've been together 3 years, and he's tried 3 times, and they rejected him. It's gonna be almost impossible because of me. Like
They think I'm gonna stay there legally.
Because he's married to a U.S. citizen.
Let me see, because I don't understand. You tried to apply before you got married or after?
Well, the first time was before.
Before.
But he didn't have, at that time, he was still he didn't have a job or anything. So he was still at school. So that hurt his chances. And then after that, we got married, and then it was.
I mean, it's kind of difficult because that's one of the reasons when people get married. When you're married, they give you the visa.
The residency.
The residency. But I want.
But you don't want residency. You just want to go visit.
Yeah.
The visitor's visa is impossible to get if you're married to an American citizen.
Okay. Yeah. Well, now I see it. Yeah, I kind of have that experience too because I am a citizen. Yeah, I was trying to apply for my dad. He just want to come visit. He don't want to live here. And I applied for him for the visa 3 times. They deny it. He don't want to live here. You just want to come and visit. and they deny that. That is just so weird because I can perfectly apply for his residency, but he don't want to be a resident. Yeah, I understand your point now. It is really weird how they think. I mean, it doesn't make sense. But now that you talk about that, you know, like the reputation that we have, like women and men, about married to a foreigner, where everybody think that we usually trying to get a visa. Were you, Katie, worried about that before you got married to him? Like he will get married with you just because he wants some, or he wanted to get a visa?
No, well, when I first met him, I wasn't aware of that stereotype, but also, like, if he, like, when we first started talking, if he would have, like, mentioned, like, and I'm gonna move to, like, you're gonna sponsor me for a visa in the U.S., like, I would have, like, been suspicious. Like, I'm not that naive, but it was also, he never wanted to move there, so, like, there was no, like, he obviously wasn't trying to get a visa from me, because it was pretty early on that, like, he was clear that he didn't want to move to the U.S. And I decided pretty on that I would move to the DR, mostly because I wasn't going to do long distance if we didn't have a plan for the future. I didn't know if it was going to work out, but we needed at least to have a plan, and the plan was for me to move here, so he obviously wasn't trying to get a visa. Although some people still think that he's still trying.
Yeah.
Other people are like, he's just waiting. Once you give it to him, he'll be gone.
I mean, what? Okay, but why would you want to wait then if you can get it right away? I mean, that probably is,
But no,
and okay, and then what you worried about her thinking that was what you would think? Did you, when you asked her to marry you, were you worried about that? That's what she would thought about you, that you wanted to get a visa?
Well, at the beginning, I thought like maybe she think I want a visa, but I don't want a visa. That was the first condition I put her. Like, I want to stay here. I don't want to leave. Yeah.
But, yeah. So no, we weren't worried.
Okay. I mean, that's a good point because that's what most people think, especially online. Most people think that that's what, I mean, a Dominican would marry to a foreigner just because they want to usually get some in exchange. But that's good to know. And I have one last question. If the people want to find you, how they can contact you? Through social media, of course.
We don't have a social media together.
So we have our YouTube channel, Loved American Style, which is the account that we have together. We don't have any joint Instagram account together. We have our separate ones, mostly because we would have nothing to post on it right now because we're not doing anything, so we can't see. But we have our separate personal Instagrams. Mine is Katie Dolce, and his.
Mine is 1994 Arbery.
And we have YouTube and Instagram and TikTok now. We just started TikTok.
Yeah.
The same username. So, yeah.
Okay. Yes, I hear about that. Just I don't think that. Yeah, I hear about the TikTok, but I didn't. TikTok. Then again, like the boys.
We recently became TikTok viral because I posted about our story, and now all of the Dominicans commented Sanky Banky, Mango Visa, all of that.
And I forgot to ask you if you ever told that he would be, yeah, exactly. That's what most people think that, because you married a foreigner, there would be a Sanky Panky or whatever. Yeah. And is there anything else that you would like to ask or to add to this interview?
I don't think so.
No.
No, you asked us all the questions. And we just want to thank you so much for this opportunity, because we're such a little channel, but you are such a big channel. So
I was there at some point. And it takes time, but energy and work to get it up. But it's the same way. I mean, when I was little, I have the opportunity I was able to work with some of the people. That's so usually sometimes how your channel grow. And if people have any questions about anything, probably about how to move or whatever, they can contact you through those.
Absolutely. We've had people contact us through Instagram asking about moving and stuff.
Yeah, see, usually people have a lot of questions in regards to those subjects. So it was a very pleasure to have you both here in my channel. So anytime if you wanna come up to my channel again, so you just need to contact me. And guys, they have a very unique channel, so go and check it out and consider to subscribe if you like what you see. And that is all what I have today. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
Bye.